And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Everybody who's traded has gone through periods of time where their strategy hasn't worked.
Where if not a hard stop, you should reevaluate the trades you're in based on time.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Hello, everybody out there to the Coach's Playbook. Today, Tuesday, it is the first day of November, 2022, joined by JD, Hogue, and Dan. How are you guys doing today? Everyone pumped up? We got a good topic today. We're going to be talking about how to kind of adjust your trading when you're on a heater, aka a hot streak. JD wrote the blog on that. That's getting published today. First, Dan, you have a shout out for us?
Hogue does.
Actually, yeah, I got the shout out this morning. We had a trader Wang up $6,800 playing the NASDAQ today. Something tells me he got a little short.
I would have to imagine so. You know, it's kind of been whipping around there, but that is the nature of the NASDAQ. A lot of crazy stuff happening in the tech world right now with...
I also have one other shout out that I feel like I should mention. Topstep's own Michael Patak up 9,800 today. Trading a little NASDAQ and a little S&P.
Nice.
So Topstep has traders too.
Good on MP.
I forgot about that one.
Was he was the first funded trader, right?
I think so. I think we can probably say that.
Yeah, there you go. The original, the OG funded trader.
We didn't get anywhere close to that and make Hogue money, but we did sell the open in the S&Ps and took a nice bite out of that first push to the downside. So, hey, Things are going well all over the place.
Well, it sounds like we're on a bit of a heater right now. So, JD, I'll let you kick it off since you wrote the blog that's getting published today. A little bit about how you kind of define, feel, and trade when things are going well.
Sure. Just to clarify, I did not write the blog. I'm just editing it. It came from our good friend, Fair Value Trader, who contributes some content to us from time to time. But I felt it's a pretty decent topic, and especially coming off of how to handle a losing streak from the other week. This is a good turnaround. So first of all, I don't think it really matters what criteria you use to define your streak, whether it's consecutive winning trades or consecutive profitable days, weeks, even months, or whatever. I think the important thing to remember about trading is that, nothing really lasts forever. I hate to start this off as the Debbie Downer, but you all know in the back of your minds that it's the truth. So I think we're faced with two choices, really. You can either end the streak on your own terms and cash out, or let it ride and let the market dictate how your streak ends. Pardon me. I say cash out because it's pretty common, and I think a lot of you have heard this before, but it's pretty common for your biggest winning days to be followed by your biggest losing days. So it kind of makes a little sense to me to sit out for a few days instead of just diving back and kind of pushing the envelope. With that said, I know a lot of us also have a tendency to sort of push it to the limit as well, maximize on that good fortune, sort of increasing size as the winners pile up. And there's nothing wrong with that either, as long as you're doing it responsibly. That's actually why we have the scaling plan in step 2 of the trading combine. Really would just be a shame if that last trade wiped out half the profits from your winning streak.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something, Jack?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to basically, it's the same as the flip side as what we talked about when you're on a cold streak, in that you should have a flow of when you're doing better, you trade a little bit more. But what I've noticed is something that I think traders struggle with. And the reason why you often have the big losing day after a hot streak is because people are much more willing to increase size very rapidly when they're doing well than they are to cut size at an equal clip when they're doing poorly. So you have a few good days and suddenly that's what you define your baseline as. You're like, well, I'm a X amount of day trader now, so I'm going to size up. I think it's important to do those things slowly. do it based on some sort of percentage of your account equity or something like that, so that you're just gradually doing it, and don't be afraid to pull it back a little when you do have that loser. You don't want to just destroy everything. We often say one of the worst things that could happen to a new trader is success right off the bat. So Hogue, I know you've seen a great deal of that in your career. You've probably been through many a hot streak and cold streak. How do they differ? How do you feel?
Well, yeah, I've had a lot of cold streaks, and believe it or not, I've had a couple of hot streaks too. And it's kind of what you guys have been mentioning. It's kind of contextual. You know, JD was talking about whether it's a day, a week, a month, however long your hot streak is. There always seems to be the pressure to keep it going, right? And I find through experience that pressure to keep it going is part of, I think, what makes it so easy to have a really bad day at some point in your near future. You know, I've had winning days where, you know, that first losing trade can just take you apart and you end up giving back that whole day. A lot of traders ask me, you know, what do I do when I'm up big and I don't want to lose a lot, but I want to keep trading as well? I said, you know, you buy yourself another trade. If you take another trade and it's a loss, you're done. If it's a win, you buy yourself another trade, because you don't want to cut yourself off when you're hot, but you also don't want to put yourself in a situation where that first loser flips your switch and then the whole day is gone. And it goes for longer periods at a time too. You know, we had periods where I'd, you know, make money 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days in a row. And that next day, that's a loss. You spend the whole day chasing it back to try and get even, and you end up, you know, ruining a week's worth of work by doing that. And it's just not the way to do it. So one thing I can recommend is on a streak, day over day over day over day. When you start to feel the pressure of keeping the streak going, understand that you're at risk for having that very bad day, and break the streak on your terms. Just like JD said, take a day off. That breaks the streak. Now you're starting from zero again.
There's a difference between confidence and hubris. We're not suggesting that you do want to push when the market environment is working for you. And maybe my biggest regret from my time trading in professional capacity was that I didn't push more when the going was good, right? But that doesn't mean that you have to get overconfident and start taking trades that you wouldn't just because you feel like you have the hot hand. Dan, I'm going to go to you. I want to open up. We were talking before about some of the things not to do when you're on a heater that I thought were pretty good to go over. So,
well, I will say, Jack, I'm probably the opposite of you. I have no problem pushing it. Never have. But I do it I will say, JD, you know, I'll differ with you on what constitutes a heater. It is not, to me, 5 days of winning, you know, 5 winning days. That really doesn't dictate much for how to adjust anything. That's just, hey, had a good 5 days. We increased our account balance over the last 5 days. I'm doing my job. Now, if I'm looking at it and I'm week over week growing my account, and I can look back over the last 2 months and I have seen success, week over week growth, month over month growth. Like any business, that's when, hey, we've started to create and generate more capital. Now we can reinvest that capital one way, shape, or form. That's when I can start saying, now it's time to push. So it takes a little while to get to the pushing point, but we got to really ask ourselves, what do I, in my opinion, and everyone's different, but what constitutes a heater and where can I grow? Because in reality, let's say we have 5 good winning days and you're making $1,000, you made $5,000 over 5 straight days. In my opinion, that's still not enough money to add another contract. I mean, you gotta, I look at it like $10,000. That's when you can, you know, have 1 lot. Then you got 20, then you can maybe trade 2 lots. You really want to substantially grow these accounts before you're getting crazy. Now, if you're starting to see some success day over day, that's where you can really start focusing. Hey, I'm finding winning trades after winning trade. I'm going to start tightening up my risk a little bit and focus and lean into my winners. I'm going to get rid of the losers quickly. I'm going to lean into my winners. I'm going to start to grow this account. And it's okay, because now that you've started to see that success, don't focus on your winning percentage, focus on your profit. If you're growing this account, you can be, 30% winner, but because you're cutting your losers early enough, you're growing your account really well. How many times has Hogue talked about asymmetric opportunity, reward over risk, 2 for 1, 3 for 1, 4 for 1? That's really where, when I say leaning into your winning, those are the areas to start focusing on. Once you've got a couple months of success and growth and, generating profits over profits, month over month, week over week, then you can start considering the size up. And I think that's where it gets confusing. People say pushing into it, they instantly think sizing up. Well, I think it in a different perspective. I'm looking for bigger win rates. Maybe it's market state just changed, and we're seeing, crude oil 6 months ago moving $10, $10 in a single regular trading hour session. Those are areas that it's like, hey, I can push because I can open up my profit. I'm going to limit down my risk a little bit. That's pushing to me. It's not about increasing my risk, but it's increasing my profits.
You should think about these things like a moving average, right? Just like you would on a price chart. We talked about this in the podcast last week, that you should really be aware of what your average or expected value is for a trading session, counting the last 20 or 30. All right. And that number is going to grow slowly. If you're using a 30-day moving average of your profit as a way to dictate the size you're trading, if that's going up, then by all means size up, because it takes a lot to move a 30-day average in just a couple days, right? So think more about that and think about how that smooth line moves slowly. Everything's about slowly building these things. So that's one piece of practical advice I'd give there. Things not to do, we talked about before. If you have a good day, you don't have to gloat about it. I mean, it's good to feel pride in something, but we were talking about certain jabronis we witnessed back in the day that would have a good day, and then I remember the big one was be on the phone on the train talking about it, right? So it could be conspicuously overheard by people. So I don't know if anyone has any more things like that, things not to do.
Well, one thing I do want to just kind of add in here too, these do come to an end, but just relish in it, enjoy it. But each day when you come in, manage that expectation. Forget about what you did yesterday, because that means nothing today. It means nothing when you're on the train, on the phone, because no one cares. In reality, no one else cares other than you and those that you're providing for. You need to come in that next day, forget about the previous day, and focus on your plan that you've worked on. Like Jack's saying here, that 30-day moving average, like those are ideas that are really going to be beneficial. It's going to pull you back in a little bit and say, hey, yes, yesterday you had one of your biggest days ever. It doesn't mean today's going to be the same. Market states change. These markets are going to tell you how much you can make and lose.
Oh, and definitely don't. This was in the blog that's being published too. Even worse than changing your size in response is changing your fundamental spending habits as a person based on a hot week of trading. That is bad news bears. And I've heard all these stories about, all the big trading places back in the day or the iBanks, everything else were people were encouraged to spend money recklessly because then they knew that they would have to, bust their butts just to make more so they could afford the, payment on the Maserati or whatever. Don't do that.
I can definitely remember those days. You'd see Dad walk in after a good day at the trading floor. He'd come in real happy. And so Dad, I need this now. And those were the days you'd get the yes.
Well, it would be fine if, I could say from my personal experience, it would be fine if you equally cut when things weren't going well. But it was kind of a funny thing where if you had a huge trading day, you'd go out and celebrate with doing something expensive. If you had a terrible trading day, you'd go out and do something expensive as well. I remember those.
We used to say when the going gets tough, the tough go out to dinner.
Yeah, in our case, it was breakfast because it was the most common blowout was about 7:30 on Friday mornings from time to time. The first Friday of the month, like we have coming up now. Got to watch out for that unemployment number. That's the big doggy. Cool. So anyone have any other thoughts on managing a hot streak?
Sure. I would say, just for the sake of our shorter term day traders just trying to maneuver through the trading combine, looking at it on a shorter time frame than what Dan and Jack were just mentioning, take a look at your historical data. We have that in our dashboard. You could pull it up anytime you want. What was your previous streak? How close are you to surpassing those numbers right now? Have you made any changes or adjustments to your strategy since then? Do you think those changes that you made are sustainable in the current market environment? After asking yourself those questions, if you're really still confident that you can keep the streak alive for a little longer, then by all means, keep going for it.
And take some money out. That's
Yeah.
one we maybe didn't say too, is, this isn't like a company that you're investing all your retained capital into it, like a startup or something like that. You got to take some money out. I think, Dan, you would know more about this, but we either strongly encourage or flat out like make people take money out at a certain point, because we've seen far too many times back in the day on the risk board, we see someone that was on a huge heater up, $20,000, 25, and we'd see that size creeping up. It's like, oh man, now they're trading 5 times the size and just waiting for it to come back without them taking any money out.
Yeah, I mean, we have a payout policy. Any funded trader knows what our payout policy is: 5 winning days of $100 or more. No more than 50%. That stuff is, we work through that with a lot of traders. When we start to see traders growing these balances, I don't think I would ever say we force traders to take payouts, but we strongly suggest, like, put some money in your pocket. I'll do that all the time. I see these traders, and we definitely incentivize getting paid. Put money in your pocket because you deserve it. You guys worked really hard to get to this point. I want to see it. I saw one the other day. Trader was doing really well, and he just wanted a couple bucks, and he asked for $150. I thought that was cool. Like, it doesn't have to be tens of thousands of dollars. It was just enough for him, to put some cash in his pocket. And it wasn't huge, but $150, paid for his trading combine to get to that point. That's pretty damn cool.
Could be
the old office prop shops. When the boss saw the accounts were getting too big, they would say, "Hey, everybody, trim your accounts. They know you got to trim your account today. Take some money out."
We had those forced on us. You'd come in and your keyboard would be a little tilted. Be an envelope under there.
That's way different than my experience. They wanted to keep as much money as possible for as long as possible. Like
small firm.
Yeah, big firm. That's their insurance policy, unless against you going rogue. So they love to see a fat amount in there. That is for sure. Cool. Well, this was enlightening. Yeah, I guess it really is the same. I mean, we're talking about it in terms of hot streaks and cold streaks, but it's all the same muscle you're flexing. It's just how to be responsible with your account sizing based on what your performance has been lately, and just being good at monitoring that and changing that's going to allow you to sustain your account for way longer, and it's hopefully going to lead to good things. So that's my thoughts there. Dan, you got a quote for us too?
I do. We're going a little crazy here. This is not specific to trading. This is specific to sports.
Okay.
John Lovenstein, he played for the Orioles back in the day. And the secret to keeping a winning streak going is to maximize the victories while at the same time minimizing the defeats. Thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. I believe that Mark Grace also had something about hot streaks and cold streaks that I'll allow people maybe to look up online. We won't talk about that here. Tell you guys afterwards. So that is all we have for this week on the Coach's Playbook. We'll be back for the podcast 3:00. Make Hogue Money is now 4 times a week, Hogue, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. You want to get the times on that?
Yeah, on Mondays and Wednesdays, it's 2:00 to 3:00. We're going to catch the close in the S&Ps. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's, let me get this right after the forecast at about 8:20 till about 9:20, we're going to catch the opens in the S&Ps. So we're going to get the best of both worlds, opens and closes. Had a good day today, had a good day yesterday. So things seem to be going pretty well. We get some good
Sounds
traders
like you're on
out
a
there
little hot streak.
Yeah.
coming up with some good trades.
If you want to check that out, that is live trading. It's good fun. We're simulcasting it live on YouTube here. So yeah, check that out. Besides that, you got anything to plug, JD?
Oh no, I didn't even think of anything. Oh, check out this blog. It's going to go live on our website in just a couple minutes.
As he hits enter right now.
I'll also put it in the article for the replay video for this also. So I'll make it easy for you guys to find.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, everyone. And thanks for watching. Hope you're starting your very own hot streak right now. But if not, keep a level head. It's all going to be okay. We'll see you later. Trade well.